Okay, so for the sake of the recording, this is the Board of Health meeting of July 29th, 2026. Everybody's here, meaning myself, Catherine Hilton, Arlene Reed, Wim Levine, Claire Pless, and Garrett Simonson. And we're expecting a guest, Deborah Pajanic, but she has not come yet. So how's everybody? Everybody good?
I think I see the sun.
No kidding.
Really?
I've got a little bit. Got a little bit of sun over on West Pelham.
All right. Well, let's all go over to Garrett's house right now.
Really?
I have one spot left, Garrett, on my arc, if you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw some sun briefly this afternoon, right after it finished pouring, but that was about it.
Yeah, but I don't think our problems hold a candle to what went on west of us. New York, the Albany Public Radio Station was on locally, and they have had some major flooding.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but I think we are doing okay.
Yeah, and I thought I saw something about power out somewhere else, maybe Connecticut.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, anyway, let's do the meeting.
Yeah.
So, minutes of last time, did I send them out? I hope.
The last time was mid-June, am I right?
That seems right.
And
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems to me that it took me several days to get around to sending the minutes out.
yeah,
I don't recall if I responded to it then.
I don't think anybody did, actually. Let me see what I can.
I don't see in my Board of Health email, I do not see right away.
There's an email on June 10th for June 6th or 3rd.
So June 3rd was our last set of minutes, is that right?
That's what I show.
Can that be right?
Let me double check here.
And I don't see that email when I look at mine. June 10th was the date of the email, Garrett?
Yes. I think so.
Huh.
Certainly had meetings later than that. We had one in July.
We had a meeting apparently on July 8th,
Mhm.
and that would be the minutes that we're thinking about now. But the question is, did I then send out a draft? So we had the meeting on the 8th. I'm looking in my sent file here.
I don't know.
I don't see him either. I think I didn't send him out. Okay. Well, I can fix that, but for now, we'll skip that.
Quick question.
I'm glad I didn't say I read them.
Yeah, no, I even looking in my trash folder, I do not see.
No, I don't. I think I didn't send them out. I thought I made them up, but it looks like I didn't send them out. I hope I have notes for it. I hope I did it, but I can't tell that from the laptop. Okay, so we're not doing that. Make a note. So that was July 8th, and those were not found. Okay, Debbie is not here yet.
I have a question about that. Did anybody see that she sent an email asking what time this meeting would be?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
at least two of us answered it.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so
That's
she,
what I was wondering.
right. But thanks for noticing that. All
May I
right,
add a request,
Yes.
an agenda item?
yes,
I would appreciate an update on what's happening with the JCA. I know that I understand that Claire has been on that in my absence, and I would love to get an update
oh, okay,
at some point tonight.
okay, let's do a little bit of business first, and then we can talk
Okay.
about that and anything else. So we have two septic system repair plans. Mike Thoreau has reviewed both of them favorably. One is on January Hills Road, and it does not seem that there are any local upgrades or anything. It's pretty straightforward. Number 9, January Hills Road, and the other is 205 West Pelham Road. And let's see. And there are apparently no local upgrades on that either. So, assuming that we have received the fees, which I'll have to check before I do anything, might I hear a motion to issue permits for these two repairs? If we had a motion, and then if you want to have any questions or discussion, we can have them.
Maybe we should
get a
do them,
motion.
do them one at a time.
Okay, all
Motion,
right,
the first of them.
okay, so let's talk about 205 West Pelham Road.
Mhm. There are no issues, you've said.
There's no local upgrade or anything like that.
Okay, then I move to approve the repair permit.
I'll second Garrett.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, Arlene,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Wim,
Yes.
Kat, yes. Okay, so I will do that as soon as I'm sure we have received all the fees and so on. That's an Alan Weiss plan. The other plan for 9 January Hills Road, equally simple, and this is a plan by Chris Stoddard.
Mhm.
Do I hear a motion to issue this permit?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second Garrett.
Okay, any question or discussion? Okay, it seems pretty straightforward. Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, Arlene,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
Wim,
Yes.
Kat, yes. Okay, same deal. I'll make sure they have met all our requirements, mainly for payment, and issue these. Claire, do you have anything to tell us about JCA?
So I did hear back from Steve Maybe. Apologize, I don't currently have that email up on this computer. It's on a different computer. But I believe what he said is it seemed fairly clear to him that they do 4 test wells in each corner of the property. And that he has a contact with sorry, was it DEP? That he can work with this. So it seemed from Steve's answer that he has a sense of what to do with this situation.
Claire, may I just ask for clarification? You said 4 test holes in each corner. Do you mean 4 total or 4 times 4?
4 total. Excuse me, 1 in
okay.
each corner. Yeah.
And is that the 10 acres that they're considering, or have they narrowed it down to 5, which is their ultimate goal, I think?
I think I was a little less clear on that, but I think it's the 10 acres, and then he said something about like, if you don't mind, I'd go grab and sign into this email on this computer, but like I believe it was the 10 acres,
Okay,
and then that it would be narrowed down from there.
okay.
Right. My recollection is that these perk tests were going to help them decide which 5 acres
Sure.
they were going to use.
And then they might need to delve in a little further. Who knows?
Right.
Okay.
I think I had CC'd both the Board of Health email and Arlene, you on that, so it's possible.
Really?
I think so. It was, so I created the Shutesbury email address, and that's why that one's not on. I haven't signed into it on this computer yet, but
I see.
Oh,
so
Oh,
that's
right.
why I could do that though. And so there's a chance he replied all. That's the part I'm less certain about.
Okay.
Yeah. I have your email here. You did send it to Arlene and to Board of Health.
Send to my Board of Health email address or my,
Hang on.
I think it's to the one that I had available, so
Arlene.reed@shutesbury.org.
on the date of that was what, please?
It was June 29th. Do you want me to just forward it to you right
Yeah,
now?
please. I don't see it. So maybe I inadvertently deleted it. I don't know what, but
Okay, well,
So-
here it comes.
okay.
And he does say Ford, no, he says a little bit more than that. Here's what he says. I talked this over with my contact at DEP. For large system soil absorption systems, the general rule of thumb is to do 4 deep holes at the corners. I take that to mean 1 at each, 4 more along the perimeter, and a couple in the middle for a minimum of 10 deep holes. More are necessary if the soils are variable, a decision made in the field.
okay, I did
Turns out I did
misremember.
get this directly from him, but I was searching for emails from Claire and I
Right.
didn't see it, but I do see it as an email from Steve Maybe. Okay.
Right.
Thank
So Claire, am I failing to send Board of Health things to your Shutesbury email?
Yes, I'm still getting them to my personal.
Okay, I'll try to reform.
So that sounds like a lot more than 1 in each corner.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it's a minimum of 10,
right.
4 in each corner, 4
Right.
more along the perimeter, presumably along each side, and then a couple more in the middle. And then more if necessary.
I like the sound of that better. It's comparable to what
Yeah.
they had to do or what they did in the other property.
Right, because they did about 9 deep holes on that one, well, that's 2
And
acres.
it's a much smaller plot. So
Yeah.
So has this information been conveyed to JCA?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me look.
I hadn't followed up further on it because I wanted to talk about it here because I wasn't sure exactly
Uh-huh.
what we're.
Well, this email wasn't sent to anybody at JCA.
Okay. So, and then I'm confused about the sentence, a couple of sentences.
Okay.
Soils are reviewed down to 5 feet for redox?
Maybe Claire can explain that. She's a geologist. I
Yeah,
have no idea.
Redox would be reduced oxygen, I would
Ah.
imagine. Because like a redox condition is conditions where you don't have oxygen.
I've never heard this before. Okay.
I
And
don't know exactly in terms of soils how that applies, but that's what the term would mean.
okay. And
Okay.
then to 10 feet to see if water is observed. If neither is observed, then what the heck is Frimter?
If it's looking for redox and water, I could imagine they're trying to determine any sort of contamination conditions or
Okay.
or if there's going to be rusting issues, etc.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure that JCA does not need to know all this technical stuff at this point, but
Right.
all right. So is so maybe a next step would be to send the gist of this, maybe not all the technicalities, but the gist of this on to Karen Rhodes, who is the person who's been inquiring on behalf of the JCA.
Well, Steve Maybe is hired by her, correct? Is that how this is going?
Oh,
Am I right on that, Claire? Is he the one that's actually going to be doing these perk tests?
That's
Or
the sense I've gotten, but
Yeah.
I don't know that side of things. All I know is I've reached out to him for asking for more information. So this is kind of
yeah.
the amount that I know.
And I am, I need to go back and refresh my own memory about
Mhm.
whether or not there is a contact between them. So I will tackle that over the next couple of days. And if this needs to be passed along to her still, then I can do that unless someone else wants to.
I'm assuming that she's getting information directly from Steve Maybe.
She's the one who presented to us about the green burials on the existing plot, right?
Yes. Yeah, from JCA, she
Yes.
came to prior meetings to
Right.
talk about the
Mhm.
current cemetery.
Oh, you're talking about Karen, not.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you said he, and I thought, really? Okay,
My recollection from the last time we talked about this was that Steve maybe is contracted by them.
that's what I
Okay.
thought. So, I guess there was a question about how many depots we were going to require. And it seems like Steve Maybe and DEP have answered that question. So I think we're kind of, for the present, we're kind of out of it. Right? That'd be good.
And from what was described, it seems consistent with what was done however many years ago that was.
In 78, whenever
Yeah,
that was,
78, yeah.
a long time ago. Okay,
Okay.
okay. Anything else on that? Okay, I still don't see any sign of Deborah. I wonder, and she hasn't sent an email saying she can't get in. I'm gonna send, well, that's not what I want. I'm gonna send her an email and okay. So, I mean, we can go on to that if she doesn't show. But in the meantime, there's an email going around between Marianne Antonellis and somebody, I don't know who, I think just a citizen, wondering if we should have an air quality monitor at the library. Not for indoor air, but for outdoor air. I don't think we need it for indoor air, but that seemed like a kind of an interesting thing that we might want to use some of our budget line to implement. I looked at the person sent a couple of links, and I looked at one of them, and it seems like we could get an air quality monitor with all the appropriate bells and whistles for about $300. And I'm not really sure how it would. I'm not really sure how it works. The website was not very informative, but apparently it uses Wi-Fi and you have somewhat remote sensors. I don't know how far those sensors can go, probably not all that far, that give you a readout at your base unit. And if we had that at the library, that seems like a good place to have it because it's a kind of an informational thing that might spark some activity or discussion. And it seemed to me like it might be a good use of our budget line, which we rarely spend all of it.
Is that for wildfire smoke or for what?
Well, that's the thing that is, on everybody's mind right now. But if there were any other kind of pollutant or something that was causing particulates, it would measure that.
My biggest concern would be who's going to be on top of the maintenance of such a thing. I'm sure there is the need for some regular cleaning or making sure whatever devices are outdoors that are picking up the sensors that are outdoors
Yeah.
are intact and functioning properly. And
But even more so, who's going to report on the findings?
right.
Well, this looks to me, I haven't really discussed it with her, but it looks to me like a project or a thing that Marianne is willing to undertake. And I assume that she would have some volunteer to help with it. I know that Graham Sefton is one of the people that she relies on for things like internet. So if we were going to do this, I would run this by him and ask him if this is an appropriate unit and what it would require, if we can meet those requirements and how it would work and so on.
Mhm.
And then possibly he or some other volunteer could be charged with maintaining this system. The question about reporting, I am hoping that the Wi-Fi connection would include some kind of connection to the internet where the results could be made public in real time.
I'm happy to ask Graham all these questions as
Excellent.
he's my next door neighbor.
I'll send you a link to the product I'm looking at.
All right. Sounds like a citizen science project.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to me that with all the space up there, that we could have an air quality monitor, and we could have other stuff too, like maybe at some point, I mean, I don't think that the Board of Health should finance this, but it seems to me that we could also have like a weather station. Okay, well, we'll look into it further, and you, Garrett, or sorry, Wim, you can ask Graham what he thinks.
I think he's in Canada right now.
Okay, well, it's no big rush,
All right.
right? He's experiencing the wildfire smoke firsthand. Huh?
Exactly.
Lucky guy. Lucky guy. I feel like there was something else about library stuff. Oh, apparently, Sarah is going to provide some blood pressure monitors to the library for lending out.
Battery operated ones, I assume.
I guess so.
Yeah, because
Yes,
you can't, people don't know how to use manual ones.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'm assuming that they are the ones you get at the drugstore.
Well, that's neat. It fits in nicely with Marianne's library of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently I heard at the collaborative meeting last time that somebody borrowed one and got a truly frightening reading, and she checked the instructions and immediately went to the emergency room, and she was having some kind of a serious event, and so she felt that having borrowed this thing saved her life. So I hope we don't have anything quite that dramatic in Shutesbury, but it seems like a good thing. No, wrong thing.
I have one item. So I need to update the 24/7 contact information for DPH and remove Noreen. So Claire, what we typically do is we list all of the Board of Health members. And I think it's typically that, I don't remember how it's currently listed, who's primary and secondary for emergency notifications from DPH to the board. But if you could email me your preferred email address and phone number for urgent notifications, it's very rare that they do it. It's mostly drills. They'll
Sure.
do like a quarterly drill of it. But if you just email it to me directly, then I'll input that into their system.
Okay.
When
And-
are we due to have another drill, Garrett?
Anytime between now, so the Q1 started September. So anytime between now and the end of September.
Okay.
And typically they'll ask us to log into a system, Claire, and either Catherine does it or I do it.
Right. We'll have to teach Claire how to do that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
only one person needs to do the updating for all of us, but everybody needs to acknowledge that they received the message. Am I right about that?
Yeah. So it'll typically, if you open the email,
Mhm.
that typically generates the acknowledgement, or if you pick up the phone, it'll say, press 1 to acknowledge or something like that.
In my experience, it comes almost simultaneously to my email, my landline, and my cell phone.
Yeah, me too. Not only my personal email, but also my Board of Health email.
Yes.
Right?
right.
And that's also all the emergency notifications too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to work out how to get Claire not only listed in the system, but able to at least log into it.
Yeah. So Claire, when you send me your contact details,
Yeah.
I'll send an email back with a little instruction guide
Okay.
that talks about the system, and I'll tell you it's a shared login.
Okay.
So we all have the same login and same password.
Got it. All right. I'll do that pretty much right after this meeting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no rush.
I know I can log in, but I think it's one of those things where the password is auto-generated and I can't see it, so I could not produce it to save my life. But I'll ask you for it at another moment. All right. Where is she? Well, even though she's not here, let's talk about this thing at 80 Lakeview Road. So she is appealing our decision to require tank replacement. She had Dennis Clark come over and look at it. And Dennis said something like, what are they, crazy? There's tanks all over this place within 100 feet of wells, which is true. I am not sorry to have an opportunity to revisit this, because I've been feeling uneasy about the decision that we made. Because, I mean, we all felt like we needed to do something. We couldn't just give it a pass or give it a fail. But it seems a little bit arbitrary to me to require the tank replacement. So I wanna share with you. Um. Share. No. But I might not be able to. Oh, here we go. Okay, can you see that?
Mhm.
Okay. If anybody sees Deborah come in the waiting list, let me know, okay? Because I can't see that thing. So what this is from Title V. It's the section that's about Title V inspections and what happens when they fail to protect public health and blah blah. So if one or more of the following conditions exist, then the system is failing to protect public health and safety. And where we get for that is down to this section that is highlighted. Evaluation of systems with septic tanks and soil absorption systems near drinking water supplies. If any portion of the soil absorption system is within any of the dimensional criteria, which has to do with the setback from the wells, unless, right, in other words, it fails, unless the approving authority, that's us, in its professional judgment, such as it is, with the concurrence of the public water supplier, which there isn't one, determines the system is functioning in a manner to protect the public health and safety, welfare, and the environment. So what that underlined section there tells me is that we have a certain amount of discretion here. That we can decide if it is protecting the public health and safety or not. Remember that the issue is number 4 here. It's less than 100 feet, but 50 feet or more from a private water supply well. Notice it says a private water supply well. It doesn't say the private water supply well providing water to this address. Okay, unless we have a well water analysis. If we had a well water analysis for all the wells within 100 feet, then this would be an automatic pass. In our last discussion of this, we determined that one, the on-site well is the closest one to the leaching area, and therefore basically acts as a sentinel of contamination going from this the soil absorption system through the groundwater and potentially into wells, all of which I think are shallow in that area. And 2, that should some of those other wells not come up clean, it's an inconclusive result because of the proximity of their own septic systems.
Yeah.
That I think would give us leeway to say that this system is not failing to protect the public health, etc.
Say that again, Kat. That would give us leeway. What?
To say that this system does not fail to protect the public health. Okay. And I'm putting it that way because it seems to me, I mean, the whole gist of our conversation last time was that it doesn't really pass, but it doesn't really fail either. right? I mean, we can't say it's perfect and everything is great. And we can't say that there are any actual failure criteria that we see actually being such as require action. And of course, the action that we were advised to take and that we did order the homeowner to take kind of is not really answering to the problems that we see on site, which are the proximity of those other wells. I have a thought about what we might do, but I'd like to hear your thoughts first, if you.
Just to refresh my memory, our recommendation, there was one about the driveway, right?
Yeah, the existing septic tank, yeah, the tank itself is in the driveway, which is trap rock gravel. And it's showing a little bit of wear, but not anything that would suggest imminent failure or even, failure within a reasonable time. And also, it does not appear to be rated in its structure to endure traffic. Now, traffic. This driveway is approximately the length of a car, right? So it's basically in the driveway and out. It's not like cars are driving over it all the time. So how significant that is it's kind of anybody's guess. I mean, so far so good, but to say I've been driving over this for 50 years does not suggest that it's going to be lasting for another 50 years, right? I mean, I'm going to live forever. So far so good, right? On the other hand, there does not seem to be a problem currently. And that problem by itself, okay, this slightly substandard tank by itself would not be enough to trigger a failure.
Mhm.
And remind us, so there was a report that we received of an inspection of the system that talked about the problematic aspects. And, someone brought up the driveway and the component that isn't up to current standard
That's
for it
correct.
to be under a driveway. But I felt like there was something else in that. And then we also got feedback from
We got feedback from the people in the collaborative, from
Yeah.
Megan and I think from Mike Thoreau. And their first response was, we need a tight tank there. When we pushed back on that a little bit and said, wait, there aren't any absolute functional failure criteria here. And that seems extreme. They said, well, how about having them replace that tank? So that's what we did.
What can, why was the inspection done in the first place?
Transfer of title. The house is
Oh,
on.
it is a transfer of title.
Yeah,
Okay.
the house is on the market. To the best of my
Right.
knowledge, there's not an interested buyer.
Okay.
And then just so there is nearby a DEP designated public drinking water supply at the lake.
No,
correct?
there's no public drinking water supply. These are private wells.
So I thought that the school and at the lake and over on Baker Road,
The
I thought
nearest, I think the nearest public water supply is up at the athletic club. And that's like
oh,
2 miles away.
I thought fountains or whatever at the lake were considered.
Oh, at the state park?
Yeah.
That's possible, but it would be
It would be
would be
further.
it would be well away, I think.
Okay.
Greater than 100 feet.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, my notes from that meeting say there are multiple, there's not a number, but multiple wells are between 50 and 100.
Yeah, I think there's the one, let me think, there's the one on her property. There's the one on John Kinder's property. There's one that I think, so that's two. There's one that I think is shared between the two houses between or right next to the state park. And there's one right across the street. And they have a tight tank in the front, so the well must be down on the lake side. So there are like maybe four. And things are so tight that if there's anything wrong with those wells, it's anybody's guess. What's causing it.
So when we first considered this, we thought, should we order them to put in a tight tank? Should we order them to get well water tests from all of those wells that are within 100 feet? Or should they replace it with a more up to code, not a tight tank, but the ordinary tank? Those were all the options that we considered, and we decided to require them to replace the tank and do annual testing of their own well, I guess. So now we're considering removing that requirement, right? Based on her appeal.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mhm.
And I don't want to take over this. I want to hear what you all have to say.
Yeah.
You'll let me know when you've said it.
I mean, I agree with you, Kat, that since there is really not a technical failure here, that we don't really have firm ground to stand on to require them to replace the tank. But with the multiple wells within 50 to 100, our policy in the past has been to not require, but recommend annual testing for anyone who's got a well within between 50 and 100. We can't do a local upgrade approval for something less than 50 feet separation
Right.
from a tank, but we can do so when it's between 50 and 100. And that's never been a requirement. It's just been a strong recommendation. Am I right about that?
Basically, yes. I mean, the only time we have enough leverage to require well testing is when we are issuing a septic system permit. And then we can condition that permit on annual testing in the future. We don't have that situation here.
It's not a permit. This is just an inspection.
This is just an inspection, and it has fallen to us to make the call of whether this system passes or fails.
Right.
And if it doesn't pass, what remedy we require. Now, if we were requiring, say, a tight tank or requiring her to replace the system, then we would have some leverage.
That's when the local upgrade approval would come into play.
Right, because that's part of a septic system application.
Mhm. Right. Ah,
Doesn't a lot of the potential risk depend on the hydrology or the flow of the aquifer? And how do we know that? I mean, are these other surrounding wells in all directions, or would there maybe be one that's at greater risk that we could say, um, dig a test hole, or is that does that sound at all reasonable, or is that overly burdensome as well, you think?
Well, we don't have any leverage here with respect to anybody else's property,
mhm.
Right.
right? And I did suggest to the homeowner that she could get well tests from all her neighbors.
Mhm.
And you recall that we said at the meeting that, the possibilities of that are slim to none,
Right.
right? So what we know about the soils around the lake is that they are sandy. The water table is fairly high, right? So these tend the wells down at lake level tend to be shallow. So we aren't really dealing with aquifers that behave in mysterious ways deep under the ground because these wells aren't going deep under the ground.
Mhm.
And I think it's basically sort of filtered lake water that, seeps.
Yeah.
Claire, that may be really unscientific of me. If you want to weigh in on that, please do.
I think it's generally what I was thinking too. If they're all shallow and very close together, I don't think it's going to have too much variability to it. I feel like there's a lot of just superficial groundwater that's probably recharging their wells rather than a lot of the fractures and rocks that we deal with our deep wells, which would come into play for exactly what you're talking about with more like water plumes and how they move. But I feel like with them all being shallow, I don't think that would be as complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my thought.
So what did you think would be a possible remedy, Kat?
Well, I've been thinking about the purpose of a Title V inspection. And the main purpose of it is when it's done for transfer of title, the main purpose is to inform a buyer of the condition of the septic system right now, right? It's a snapshot, it's just saying what the condition is right now. And so it seems to me that I think we've done this, at least partially we've done this in the past. We have been asked to, we're required at this point to review the septic system report and rule on it. Does it pass or not? And that usually takes the form of a letter in which we say it passes or it doesn't pass. In this case, I think we might be well advised to have a letter that says basically neither one nor the other, right? That we're not assigning a pass fail grade to this septic system, but here's the situation, right? While it's not failing to protect the public health and environment and whatever the third thing is, it's basically marginal, right? These are the risks. right, of contamination. Basically laid out saying we don't consider this either passed or failed, but a marginal system. And then, recommend annual, water testing in August, annual pumping of the tank with a visual inspection of the tank by the pumper, which they basically do that anyway. You know, they pump it out, they look down in there, they see if the tank's in good condition. They often mark that on the pumping report. So that's what I think might work. What do y'all think?
That sounds reasonable to me. It's essentially a buyer beware type of statement
Yeah,
because it's not technically failed, but how many more years does it have is the question.
right.
Yeah, as long as the recommendation strongly emphasized what you said, that at this time, you know, here's the condition.
Right.
As reported.
We might also add that for the future, we suggest, I would go not as far as a recommendation, but a suggestion that the tank be replaced with something sturdier.
Mm-hmm.
And would that mollify this homeowner?
Well, I think so. That's, I don't want to basically fail the system when we don't have failure, functional failure. But I don't want her to get off scot-free either
Right.
when when there
There are
are issues
deficiencies.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So mollified or not, this is already a lot better than she might have gotten from a better deal than she might have gotten from Mike Thoreau, who would have made her put in a tight tank, which I think is a little extreme,
Right.
a big extreme, actually.
Is this a seasonal residence or a year
No,
round?
it has always been lived in year round. I think it's about 50 years old. So, I have no idea what a future owner might use it for, but it has been used as a year-round residence. It has, you may remember that there is, in addition to the septic system, leaching, there's a septic tank and a leaching pit. There is also a separate tank. I guess it's a tight tank. Anyway, it's a separate tank for the washing machine.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
So it doesn't get as much use. The system itself doesn't get as much use as most do, because most have the washing machine emptying into the tank also.
Not that the seasonal versus year round should influence our decision. I mean, we have to have the same requirements
Right.
for both because a person can change the way they're using that
Mhm.
at any time. But I just wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
Right. Garrett, you look thoughtful.
I think I'm mainly just reflecting back on our prior conversation and in the prior meeting and reacting to the information that we received from the report and from folks from the collaborative. And that was mainly the reason that I landed where I landed. And then also just thinking about the degree to which a report like that puts us on notice should the system fail, and then to what degree is the town liable for not having responded to parts of the system that weren't in compliance or potentially heading toward failure.
Mhm.
So,
That's an interesting question, actually.
Yeah.
Do you want to say some more about that, or were you done?
no, I was done with that. Just generally thinking, so when we receive reports like this, and if we don't take action to the degree that we can take action, or recommend remedies, does it then put the town, in addition to the homeowner, because the homeowner would have liability as well, but if we're in possession of information and we don't take action?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that, well, for one thing, I don't have a Title V report in front of me, but it seems to me that it's explicit in the reporting form that this report is no guarantee of future performance of the system. And I think also that if we spell out all the conditions, our requirements and our view of the situation, that pretty much covers us. As far as avoiding liability, if liability were an issue, and I'm not at all sure that it would be, gosh, I just lost my train of thought. If liability were to be an issue, really the only sure thing would be a tight tank,
Right.
right? Because hang on just one sec.
Sure.
Because replacing the tank does not address our actual concern.
Right. Exactly what I was going to say. The neighboring wells are still within 50 to 100 feet from the leach pit,
Right,
new tank or not.
right. The tank is not the problem.
Those wells are still a bit on the close side, but we don't have, nothing happened 50 years ago to provide a local upgrade with this. I mean, it was just the way it was put in back then, right?
Well, yeah, it would have been, I can't remember exactly how old it was,
Yeah.
but it was not under the new Title V, I don't think.
Right. Pre-Title V, yeah.
Yeah,
So new tank or none, or a new tank with a leach pit still does not address those proximate wells.
right,
That's still a concern.
right.
A tight tank would address it, but
Right. But unless we show actual signs of functional failure, that seems like more than we ought to require.
yeah. And even if we were to say you need to put in a tight tank, DEP authorizes the tight tanks, and the basis for their authorization is, as I understand it, that there is no other alternative, right?
Right, and there wouldn't be another alternative, although I think that you're not, I think that you're not up to date on that. I think now we can give the authorization.
Oh,
DEP,
okay.
DEP doesn't do it anymore.
Okay. Did not know that. Thank you.
Yeah, a few years ago, I think just for basically personnel reasons, they're too busy to do that.
Mhm. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it is meant to be a last resort. However, in this case, it would definitely be the last resort because there's basically no property to speak of around this place.
Mhm.
And what property there is not hospitable to any kind of construction.
Mhm.
I think that's true. I don't know if a conventional system could be sort of wedged into the front yard. That might be a possibility. So I wouldn't automatically assume that a tight tank would be the only way they can go. If a future owner or this owner or anybody wants to upgrade or needs to upgrade at some point in the future.
All right, well, I think I am comfortable with removing the requirement to replace the tank. Knowing that the report would be made obvious to anybody considering purchasing the property that this tank, this current situation is marginal and that it should be monitored. And maybe we can require yearly pumping with the typical inspection by the pumper at that time.
I don't think that we can require anything, but we can strongly recommend.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
That,
Yeah.
and my main point there being that any prospective buyer be fully informed about the marginal status.
Mhm. Right, right. So can we consider that a motion?
Yes,
Okay. Do I hear a second?
It was for pumping and testing?
Annual water testing, annual pumping, and visual inspection of the tank at the time of pumping.
Correct.
Strong recommendations
Yeah.
with a suggestion of changing out the tank in the future.
So 4 provisions, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, right. None of them binding, obviously.
right. So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Is that you, Garrett?
Yeah, Garrett.
Okay, just get that. Okay, further discussion. All right, hearing none. Let's vote. Arlene,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Garrett,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Kat, yes. Okay.
I do have one other question, not that it changes my vote, but
Mhm.
do we have a recent water test from the well on the property?
Yes, one accompanied the the septic system inspection report.
And it was fine.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, usually, that's the end of it. When we get needs further review, they include the water test. The water test is usually good, and and therefore it passes, automatically. That's why we don't have these long discussions because it's just open and shut.
Mhm.
But
Okay. All right.
okay. Okay, well, thank you for bearing with me through that long process. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about? Oh, one thing we need to talk about, if we're done with business and Board of Health business, we need to talk about a meeting schedule for August.
Mhm.
So our normal meetings would be, first and third, would be August 5th and August 19th. But it seems unlikely that we're gonna need a meeting on the 5th. So how about this? How about we plan to have our meeting on the 19th? And if we really need a meeting before that, we can call a meeting for the 12th and then maybe the 26th. And it would be good if we could get back on our normal schedule.
Mhm.
Does that seem good to everyone?
That works for me.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so we will assume that that will be our next meeting unless there's a dire emergency.
I may not be there.
Okay. What Great Plains are you going to?
I'm kayaking the Erie Canal.
For
Okay.
15 years with Sal,
Or-
your mule?
Yes.
Cool. That sounds great.
Yeah,
End to end?
no, it's 500 and something miles. With all of its, yeah. No, I'm gonna see how far I can get in 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
Will you need to go through the locks and have
Yes.
them operate the locks? Okay. I have bicycled the towpath alongside the Erie Canal
Yeah.
and watched the locks operate, and it was cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Kayaked it.
You were out there with Sal. Okay, well, have a great time and don't even think about zooming into the meeting.
Well, I may. It depends on yeah. We'll see.
And Arlene you told me when you were going to be in at the Cape, but I forgot.
9th through the 17th.
Oh, great. So you'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like we can have a quorum.
Yeah, and even if we need to meet earlier, I'm okay meeting from there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope not.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about?
Nope.
Okay, so my assignments here, I have to write this letter. I have to do the minutes of this meeting, and I have to find or create the minutes of the last minute meeting.
And you're gonna send me the
Send me-
details on the monitoring
I'm going to
equipment.
send you the link to that product. Yes. I'll do that right now. Okay,
Okay.
Perfect.
I think we're good.
Thanks.
Okay, you guys, thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
You.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.